Thank you, Sonia. Well, it's very nice to meet you all. Yeah, my name is Alicia. I'm a biomedical scientist, and I'm leading the scientific operations in Remedi4all.
Okay.
And I would like to give
Sorry.
you an introduction to the platform during the coming 10-15 minutes, and then there will be a presentation from Helene on Founders Network, Remedi4all Founders Network, and then from Pan on some other topics from the platform. But first, starting by drug repurposing. So as most of you know, drug repurposing has the potential to be faster, let's say cheaper and safer than de novo drug repurposing. However, there are many barriers that actually do not make it possible. And we don't have any shortage of drug repurposing hypotheses. Indeed, there are many drug repurposing hypotheses, but the vast majority of these projects never reach patients. And one of the main reasons why this happens is because these hypotheses are generated by academic investigators, research clinicians, computer scientists, and patient groups who are undertaking drug development for the very first time. And that's exactly the main reason why Remedi4all was conceived. So Remedi4all is a one-stop platform that supports repurposing projects from end to end. So from the moment you have a therapeutic hypothesis, or even before that, so we also support projects to generate those hypotheses by designing screenings and essays, all the way through preclinical development, clinical development, up to approval and clinical implementation. So right now, Remedi4all has just entered its fourth year, and it has really become a mature platform with solid processes and activities. And yes, the main mission, let's say, of Remedi4all is to make it easier and more reliable to find new uses, new medical uses for already existing drugs by helping people all the way from end to end, and also to improve the repurposing landscape in Europe and globally. So Remedi4all got started actually in September 2022. It got started thanks to a 25 million grant from the European Commission. And not only we support projects from end to end, but we also work to improve the European policy environment and also to develop funding strategies in collaboration with funders to address current market issues. And these are things that Pan and Helene will be talking about later. Remedi4all is a fully patient-centric platform. And how do we do this? I will explain it on the next slide, but that means we consider patient engagement needs to occur at every step of the drug development process. Because if we don't understand real patient needs, most probably we will never get to do a clinical trial of value, especially we will never bring a drug of value to the patient community. So we really try to stick to this kind of mission in our core. And how do we do it? So we really try to position patients' voice at the center of every repurposing project that we support. And for this, the platform counts with a patient engagement team fully dedicated to integrate patients and patient engagement in all our repurposing projects through either the role of patient champions, through patient advocacy groups, through the elaboration of patient engagement plans, or through the organization of multi-stakeholder meetings between other activities. Remedi4all is a very large platform composed by 27 different partners. And actually, I wanted to highlight that 5 of them are from UK. So we have LifeArc, UCL, Hull University, Sheffield University, and Beacon for Rare Diseases, who are really on the lead of our patient engagement interactions or activities. And I'm not going to speak about these projects, but just to show you that the Remedi4all platform got started with 4 large repurposing projects that were embedded at launch, and we have been supporting them from the very beginning of the platform. All these projects are at very different stages of development. They are different from the scientific and from the regulatory point of view. And as you can see, Hull and Sheffield University have been one of the leaders, let's say, on one of these projects. But today I'm not going to talk to you about these 4 large repurposing projects that we have been supporting from launch, but actually rather talking to you about like the role that we have had in supporting and mentoring many other projects that are not formally embedded in the platform, but that we started to support already more than 2.5 years ago via a mechanism called the Remedi4all Concierge. But what is the Remedi4all Concierge? So this is a portal in the Remedi4all website through which people may contact us to learn about Remedi4all and what kind of support it can provide to repurposing projects. That was the initial idea, and also the initial idea was for us to understand what were the community needs out there. So, however, I will explain it later, but it has really become a place where we mentor projects and where we advise them on their next steps, and sometimes we get involved much deeper than that. So thanks to the concierge, we have actually been able to talk with people from or support projects from all around the world with very different needs and on very different phases of development. And just to show you, just to tell you, we have, since we opened it, more than 250 requests, and that means more than 250 projects that we have been mentoring. And the vast majority of the people coming to us are either patients and patient groups or academic researchers. And also we have a large amount of biotech companies or other type of companies coming to receive mentoring support from our side. So how far has the concierge traveled? So I wanted to show in Europe, we have supported projects from more than 21 different countries. And specifically, we have received lots of, we've had a lot of interactions with projects that are located in the United Kingdom. This is kind of an overview of, the many different kinds of organizations and universities and companies that we have mentored through our concierge in the United Kingdom. And also globally, we have supported in total projects from more than 30 different countries. So as I said, the initial idea of the concierge was actually focused on understanding the community needs and also explain what can the potential support of Remedi4all be for those projects. But after a little while running the concierge, we realized that our reasonably short engagements were adding a lot of value to the projects. And that's how the concierge became into our main place to triage and actually really start supporting projects with our existing resources. And this is an overview. There is no time today to go in detail into like the work that we do for some of these for these projects. And sometimes when there is more time, I really provide specific examples. But in the interest of time, so this is an overview of. Sorry, there is a background noise from someone.
I'm just saying save what I'm doing here.
Martin wants to say.
Any guest.com, yeah.
Maybe we can mute this person.
Yes, sorry. We'll just try and.
Do you want me to download the?
No,
sorry, I'm just.
It's just. Can we mute this person, Martin?
Martin. I'm just trying to see how I mute.
Okay, it's fine. It's muted now. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so what you see here is an overview of the projects, of all the projects that we support, but this is just a selection of the projects, because as I said, we have mentored more than 250 projects. So what you see here are our demonstrator projects, plus a selection of concierge projects that we have been supporting during the last months or years. And what I just want to highlight is that we support projects at every stage of development. And I cannot talk in detail today about it, but most of our late stage projects focus on label extension and registration. And that means that we provide regulatory support, and we provide also support in matching marketing authorization holders, matching the projects with marketing authorization holders, and reaching agreements with the marketing authorization holders. And recently we had a big success on the project that I just highlighted above, the repurposing of etoposide for a rare disease called HLH syndrome, where we have just this 1st of October signed an agreement where a marketing authorization holder has committed to become the sponsor for the new indication for this drug, which was originally a chemotherapeutic drug. And all the way to the other end, so to the very beginning of the, let's say, development, we also support projects really at the screening stage. So we also design screenings, develop screening essays, etc., to be able to find drug repurposing candidates. Now, we were looking at your slides also about like the survey that the TAR network has run with charities. And we saw on responses on the question about barriers supporting translational research. And we saw that many of your charities are suffering common barriers such as the lack of expertise and understanding of translational research within the charity, difficulties identifying pipeline or opportunities to support, or understanding or dealing with legal, regulatory, and ethical complexities that don't apply to biomedical research. And these are all things that Remedi4all really works or supports and provides guidance on. And now, in terms of funding, Remedi4all does not count with a bag of money to support every promising project coming to the platform. Reason why actually we created the Remedi4all Funders Network that Helene will be talking about right after me, so I'm not gonna stop here. And then also in terms of sustainability for Remedi4all, so Remedi4all's European Commission funding runs until September 2027. But already since 2 years ago, a lot of the team's work has been focused on developing a sustainable business model for Remedi4all operations beyond its Horizon Europe funding period. So I'm very happy to share that very soon, actually, we are hoping that in a couple of weeks, we are going to have our core nonprofit legal entity incorporated, which will be called the Remedi4all Foundation. And thanks to this foundation, we will be able to sustain and support the drug repurposing ecosystem into the future. So though we are currently brainstorming which are the platform activities that will be kept by the foundation after the ETI funding finishes, one of the things that we are going to be keep on running for sure, and that we've been running for 3 years already, is our International Drug Repurposing Conference, which main aim is to be a global conference that unites the drug repurposing community to advance the field in every critical aspect. So I want to invite you to join us in the one that will take place next year. It will take place in Brussels in a beautiful venue called Maison de la Poste on the 12th and 13th of May. And with that, I want to finish my presentation and thank you all.
Thank you, Alicia. That was great.
Thanks,
Should we hand over to you now, Helene?
Yes, of course. Unless there are any questions for Alicia, burning questions for Alicia now, or that we do that afterwards. I will have about a 10-minute presentation and then pen as well, so we can also have the discussion afterwards.
Yeah, nobody's raising any hands, so I think maybe continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, to share my screen. And I'd like to see you again. Yes, you can see my screen now, I think, right? Or
Yeah, that's fine.
let me also see if I can. Okay, so yeah, the Remedi4all Funders Network. Yeah, I'm Helene van der Meer, as introduced. Maybe good to say that I come from the organization called ZonMW. ZonMW, it's a public funder in the Netherlands. And we are together with the consortium have created the Remedi4all Funders Network as part of the Remedi4all project. And this is already the group of organizations we got together. We now have 40 organizations who are part of the funders network, of which 35 are health research funders. And as you can see, it's well, some might look familiar. Also some are from the UK. Some charities also part of the TAR network. So and I also see some already in the room. So that's good to see you. But it's so it's different types of funders connected here. Public funders, charities, but also investors, but also industry, for example. And yeah, we're very welcome. We're very open to new funders to join us. So of course we hope we will even grow in the coming years. And this also is an invitation to all of you to join us. And I will explain a little bit of what we're doing. But first of all, this chart, just to give you an idea. And this is from April, and we're currently updating this one. But to give you an idea of the type of organizations, as I said already, the green ones we now here categorized as industry. But for example, Tanagula is an investor. So this needs updating to give more categories to the type of funders that are in our network. These are all the charities, industry. We indicate here where they fund, the regional scope, the indication scope. This means all indications, but also, for example, cancer or neurological diseases, and then which phases of research they are funding. And obviously, we would like to fund all the way through from the development, the first idea in repurposing, all the way to market access. So it's important that we have funders all the way along the line, and as we see, it's mostly industry funding now. This last part, so it's very important also to collaborate with industry. But we will, as I said, we will update this figure soon. Yeah, the aims of the funders network. So we're connecting funders to maximize the potential of drug repurposing research, and we do this in different ways. We facilitate collaboration among funders, being a network, getting to know each other. We have several webinars in a year. We also have an in-person meeting each year that I will tell you a little bit more about in another slide. And in these meetings, so it's important that we, just as your network, we know each other, we know where to find each other, also to share best practices, to find solutions for funding barriers, and obviously to reduce the fragmentation of the drug repurposing funding landscape. As you can see in the previous slides, each funder has their own scope, and it's as we would like to fund the whole repurposing journey, it's important to see where we can connect. Also, we're looking at innovative funding streams and business models that are needed for drug repurposing. We're providing a marketplace for co-funding. I will tell you a little bit more about in another slide. Basically, what we're doing here is a marketplace where we're connecting project developers to funders, and provide a space where also funders can discuss whether they'd like to co-fund a certain project. And then last but not least, we'd like to, as a network itself, as funders, we advocate for policy changes that at the moment hamper drug repurposing. And we're currently, and Pen will talk a little bit about this, but we're currently writing a white paper together with the funders, describing what we aim, these aims, and also how we'd like to basically a roadmap for the network, what we're going to do in the coming years. Yes, then here, as I said, we have a yearly meeting with the funders network, and this was our last meeting in May. at the International Drug Repurposing Conference that Alicia was talking about. This was in Amsterdam last year. And you can see this nice group of people coming together, and I think it's really it really helps if you all see each other in person and can discuss important topics and how we can collaborate together. And this was the first meeting that we met in person together, and next year there will be another IDR series and edition, and we also aim to come together then, and all the years after. Highlighting here again the conference. Also important to mention that although we're being funded by the European Commission with the project, the IDR series has to become sustainable, and we're really we're relying on external sponsoring to keep this conference going. So if you would be interested in sponsoring, we have several packages, and just reach out to us. Zonneweg already decided to sponsor next year's edition because we find it super important to support drug repurposing, and doing this by sponsoring a conference is really the place where people come together, and new opportunities arise. But yes, we will also have before the conference, so 12th, 13th of May is the conference, and the day before we will again have a Funders Network event open to all funders, members of the network, but also interested funders who would like to join the network. So if you are deciding to come to IDR or are around in Brussels, let us know. We'd be happy to invite you to this meeting. And again, we will be talking about important topics, how we can do co-funding, innovative funding models. These types of topics is what we will discuss here. Then something we have set up the Remedi4all marketplace, as I already talked a little bit about. One of our aims is to connect developers to funders, and basically this is this picture describes it all. But what Alicia was talking about, that Remedi4all is supporting a lot of different projects, and they come through to the partnering portal or funder pipelines or the Remedi4all concierge. And then in the marketplace, in Remedi4all, these projects are being supported. They're being prioritized, evaluated, gap analysis. Well, Alicia talked all about it. But then obviously at some point the project also needs, some projects need funding to move on if they haven't found it themselves. So they will come into the marketplace, this place where we will connect them to funders, and what we aim to do is really work out this end-to-end funding plan with the project, with the funders together, how to really get this drug repurposing idea all the way to patient access. And very concrete, what we do is at the moment is we have a marketplace meeting. We had a pilot meeting in March where a couple of projects were pitched, and we got feedback from our funders to know whether this would suit them, the format would suit them. And then last 6 November, we had our official marketplace meeting where 4 mentored and promising repurposing projects were pitched to the list of funders that you can see here. And Sonia was there as well, and a couple of colleagues, and some of you in the room. So that was very nice to see. And actually, there was a prostate cancer project that was being pitched, one of them. And yeah, we already could connect Sonia and others to this project group. So yeah, that's what we really hope to do, to make this direct connections and get projects and funders working together on this. Yeah, and I already highlighted it a couple of times, but something like a concept that we really like to work on is what we call longitudinal co-funding, which basically means is building a seamless support funding through to patient access. At the moment, the major source that a project is failing is the time and uncertainty between grants and funding rounds. It takes time to get more funding, or there's a lot of competition. And something that we'd like to do is that funders coordinate and support different phases of a project, that they pre-discuss milestones, pre-agree on milestones, so that when a funder funds a project, then the next milestone is being agreed on when a next funder comes in and takes over the next phase of a project, meaning that this runs into effective, efficient project execution, and in the end, if more funders are included, the project is collectively de-risked. And yeah, hopefully the access to patient is accelerated. So this is really something our ideal world would look like if we could do this. And I created a little figure about this. So this shows how the funding process works at the moment. As you all know, it takes time in between. So here you see different types of funders, different phases of a project, and maybe the first part, the discovery phase, is being funded by a public funder. Then it takes time to get some money for the next phase. Again, time between, if you have positive results, obviously. So there's a lot of delay in between the research to get to patient access. And at the moment, actually, it's also off-label use, mostly in drug repurposing. So this is something we'd like to change. And I have some slides in between, but just because of the sake of time, I just show you here that ideally would like that this all is connected. There's no gaps in between anymore. All funders, even if they're funding a later stage, they're involved before, they are involved afterwards, anticipating what's needed in the next phase. Industry is involved, and also looking at other funders that could be involved. Together accelerating the pathway to patient access, and then hopefully get the drug on label. That's something that we're aiming for. And that was my talk. Thank you. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Helene. That's great. And am I right in thinking we're going to hear from Donald?
No, actually, I'm just going to step in now. No problem. Just share my screen.
Yeah, going through.
So I just want to pick up on what Helene was saying and discuss some of the concrete things that we've delivered as part of the platform and the Funders Network. And the first of these is a funding calls database. Now, there are lots of funding databases out there, already, some of them commercial, some not. But if you're someone who's running a project looking for funding for repurposing, it's not always straightforward to find a funder. And similarly, if you're a funder and you have a project call for repurposing, being able to have that call available on a repurposing website seems a very obvious thing to do, but no one's done it so far. So this is a regularly updated database that we host on our website. The funding calls are for any phase of project, any geography, any disease area. So we're kind of quite broad. And also, you don't have to be a repurposing specific funder. So you may be a disease specific funder and have a project call that includes repurposing. Then that would be possible to include here. And if you're interested in adding your projects, then get in touch. There's a QR code there where you can go to the website and see for yourself. You can filter the different calls. You can set up email alerts. So it's quite functional. And the great thing about it is that this is something that provides real value to all funders, but also to those academics and other people who are looking for somewhere to receive funding. A second important deliverable from us is an interactive guide to joint funding calls. Now, some of the organizations in the Funders Network and some of the partners in the platform have worked on joint funding calls where you have maybe 3, 4 or more funders in different countries working together to put out a call for projects. These are enormously complex things to bring together. In addition to the actual call text, you've got all of the legal requirements. Different funders may have different rules about which countries they can fund projects in and so on. So what we've done is working with partners in the platform and the funding network, we've taken the best of what we've discovered and what we've used ourselves. We've identified other resources outside of us, but rather than reinvent the wheel, we're pointing people to those. And so produce this interactive guide, which we think provides some additional value. And it's actually going through to edition number 2, even as we speak. So we're in the process of updating, incorporating things that we've learned in the process. So again, if you're a funder and you've never done a joint funding call, this is a place to go to find out how to do it. The nuts and bolts, it includes templates and process steps that you can follow. Another example of a best practice is a value assessment tool. Now, when you are a funder and you have to make assessments for competing projects, which is something that we all have to do, we always have more projects than we can possibly fund, trying to find a consistent way of judging the value for competing projects is not always straightforward. And you want a framework that's going to align with your particular objectives. Every funder has a different set of objectives, a different way of valuing projects. So we've created a framework and a concrete implementation based in Excel that allows you to basically put in the factors that are important to you and which align with your objectives. And then you can use the tool to basically score different projects in a consistent way. And you can share that out amongst different people in the team so that you can do this in parallel. So we think it's a very, again, a very concrete, useful tool that funders can use. And then a final thing to mention are our online webinars. I mean, the whole point of the Funders Network really is to learn from each other, because no funder is perfect, not even us. So we're very keen that we learn from each other's experience, find out what works and what doesn't work in different areas. And we had a fantastic webinar recently, which was a set of case studies, one from a US not-for-profit called Cures Within Reach, and another one from a development company called Galenicap. And they both talked about concrete examples of repurposing projects, how they had developed, the pitfalls, the things that they had done to work around the problems, and how they had finally succeeded. And I have to say, I found it incredibly useful and interesting, because learning from concrete examples is always better and more useful than learning from kind of abstract principles. So a very useful webinar. Our next webinar will be in February next year, and that's going to look at scientific advice. Now, for some funders, scientific advice is really baked into their process. They insist that projects go through a formal scientific advice process with the MHRA or the EMA or a national regulator. We feel that this is a best practice because it really hardens the projects and really kind of helps deliver absolute benefits in terms of the value a project can generate. And to do this, we're going to have someone from the Anti-Cancer Fund talking about one of the international joint funded programs called Attract. And from Zonneveld, who will talk about their national repurposing projects called in the Netherlands. And we'll also have a regulator on there talking about regulatory initiatives, future perspectives, so how this area is going to change. So again, a chance to learn from some concrete examples of how your processes can improve and how you can improve the quality of your projects. So please look out for that. The date's there, put it in your calendar, and sign up when the invites go out. And then a final thing that we're currently working on is a white paper. And the aim of this is to kind of describe who we are as a network, which organizations are involved. It will include the update that Helene was talking about, that map of phases and disease areas and organizations. And also it's going to capture some of the issues that we face as funders, the fragmented funding streams, those gaps in funding that actually end up derailing really promising projects. We also have kind of issues in terms of financial incentives for commercial funders. A lack of best practice being widely used. So we'll talk about some of that stuff. And then the important thing of all of this coming together of all the funders is learning from each other and identifying those best practices and putting in a strategy. So how we can close the gaps in funding, how we can coordinate funding strategies together. So that's something that we've made quite a lot of progress on, and which we are planning to deliver early next year.